welcome to this week's episode of Make It Monday. So our theme for this week is Sensory Week, and to get it kicked off I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own cloud dough. So the fun thing about cloud dough is that it's an interesting combination between Play-Doh and gloop. If you've ever experienced playing with gloop, you will know it's a really funny mixture of cornstarch and water, I think. But it changes texture, so if you leave it, it's more of a liquid, and if you put pressure on it, it becomes more solid, which is similar to what happens with cloud dough. So in order to make your own cloud dough, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need a bowl to mix it in, some conditioner. Any conditioner will do. It doesn't have to be branded. This is just like a supermarket own branded conditioner. I think it costs like 80p. Some corn flour, again, supermarket own brand. And if you want to dye it, you don't have to dye it, but some food dye if you do want to dye your cloud dough a certain colour. And it does help to have some oil on hand because it just helps with the texture of the dough. It helps it to sort of bond together. So I'm just going to be using some baby oil. So the first step is to just take your bowl and to grab your conditioner and just squirt a good sized amount of it into the bowl. You then need to add your corn flour. It is difficult to tell you exactly how much corn flour you will need because conditioners come in sort of different textures. So you'll sort of have to work that out for yourselves when it comes to using the amount of corn flour, because some conditioners are more liquidy, some are a bit more like gloopy, if that makes sense. So you'll have to sort of do that for yourself. You can use a spoon for this bit. I'm just going to use my hands, but you can use a spoon. So what you need to do is just sort of mix it all together until it starts to like form a sort of dough, and then at that point you can start to sort of knead it together. As you can see, as they start to bond together, it does start to make more of a dough-like consistency. So mine has already gone quite solid. So I am going to add a bit more conditioner and a little bit of baby oil to add a little bit more liquid to it to help it to mix. So now my cloud dough is at this point, I'm going to add the dye in. You can add the dye in at any point, but I find it makes it easier to add it once the product's actually made, and then sort of mix it in. So with the food dye, obviously the more you add, the darker the colour will be. So I'm just going to add 2 capfuls, I think, and we'll see what kind of green that gets us. As you keep like forming the dough together, you will get to a point where it feels a bit like this, and this is when you know roughly it's right. So it's soft and it sort of breaks apart quite easily, as gloop would, because you're putting pressure onto it, but you can still form it all together and squish it. So this is when you know you've got the right sort of texture for your cloud dough. If it's near this point but still a little bit too crumbly, feel free to add more baby oil, but don't add too much, because then you'll just have to add more cornstarch. But you can just keep going. I do find it is very much trial and error with the amount of corn flour versus the amount of baby oil and conditioner. But once you get to this point where you can squeeze it, then when you pull it apart, it comes apart quite rigidly. That is when you know that you've made your cloud dough. So I just wanted to quickly show you some footage of the cloud dough in action. So it is very squidgy, as you can see, and it feels quite a lot like Play-Doh in this respect. But then, for example, when you go, let me put that down, when you go to break it apart, it breaks apart differently to Play-Doh. It doesn't sort of stretch as you'd expect Play-Doh to, it just sort of comes apart like gloop would. And that is how you make cloud dough. I really hope you enjoyed today's Make It Monday. Kicking off Sensory Week is super exciting. I'm going to use my slightly cloud doughy hands to wave goodbye. So I'll see you again very soon. Bye everyone.